September 8th Board of Supervisors meeting. This time we'll call it order. Mr. Slade, would you say a prayer for us?
I will. Father, as always, we come before you first and foremost at the start of this meeting to acknowledge, Father, that we need your presence here with us today. Thank you, Lord, for being the giver of all good and perfect gifts. Father, the one to whom we are to look, Father, as the source, the giver. Father, you are the one who provides for our every need, and we acknowledge that and thank you. Father, we need your presence and we need the wisdom that you freely offer to these men. I pray, Father, that they would, in a very real way, feel your presence today, that they would know that wisdom that comes from you. Father, I pray that you would supply it in abundance. I pray, Father, that you'll help them as they deliberate. Let us all, Father, acknowledge and remember you are the one who controls even the heart of the king. Father, I pray that you would give us what we need today. That is the protection that our men and women who are serving us deserve. I pray, Father, for their families and the sacrifices they made in Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you, Craig. First up on our public comment, we have the pleasure of having Mayor Butch Lee with us this morning. Walk real slow. Our sheriff is on the way.
On the way. I wish he was here.
We need to share.
All right, so real quick, take care of people's business. I got to tell you, Friday afternoon at 1:30, we had an incident in Crossgate. It's very unusual time of day, very unusual circumstances. Had a 911 call, actually had two 911 calls, and right behind that, somewhere between a minute and let's see, a minute 15, a minute 30 seconds later, we had an officer in the street approaching a gentleman that was suspicious. The whole thing is under investigation. It went out first as an officer-involved shooting, and that somehow in social media got transpired into an officer got shot, and of course that sent haywire to everybody. So social media is going to get us all, folks, one day. I'm just telling you. Anyway, I'm here to report to you and the sheriff. See, I was dragging till you got here, Sheriff. I'm just going to tell you, it was great. Brandon PD did what they were supposed to, did exactly what they were supposed to do, and within 15 minutes, Rankin County showed up, had a textbook example of lining up, surrounding a house with someone in it, and resolve that issue in short order. And I'm here to tell you, I'm bragging on everybody that was there. It was a pleasure to see Ken McBroom walk up to me on the street. And I'm telling you, Sheriff, that crew, Alpha Bravo right on down the line, they walked up there and took care of that and had that suspect, when he came out the door, down on the ground just like that. So I'm just here to tell you, folks, and everybody in Rankin County, hear me loud and clear, we're blessed. There were people there. We have responses from Flowood, Pearl, Pelahatchie, and I think everybody in Rankin County was on the way. And it was a good outcome. We are to commend every officer that was there, and you're to be proud of your SO. So again, on behalf of Brandon, thank you very, very much. Thanks, Sheriff. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Put your phone on silent.
Hey, Janice, can you go get our next one, or do they know they're coming in next?
Yes, I was calling him.
Okay.
She's orderly.
Next, we have David Hutchins up for public comment.
He needs to give his address and identification.
Michael, send David Hutchins in there, please. Thank you.
Got some handouts?
Anyhow.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, gentlemen, for seeing me. My name's David Hutchins. Currently live on 132 September Lane in Brandon, Mississippi, District 4, Mr. Gaines, your area. I'm here today to talk about, I've got a couple concerns about a piece of property that's down for my land. Freedom Farms, it's a neighborhood development that's being opened. And as you can see on the next page, basically where Stoll Road, I've got some parcels of where it is, but I've noticed a lot of dump truck activity coming up and down the road, and was riding with my family last Thursday and came to the entrance of the dirt pit, and they have a large commercial dirt pit operation going on, and it's currently zoned RE1. They've got another pit that's on Mount Helm that's titled, it's Alpha 1 zoning, and I'm kind of familiar with this because we came previously when another gentleman, Mr. Murphy, tried to do a dirt pit at the beginning of Stoll Road, and the neighborhood, the people on the road just didn't want it because of the dump truck activity. So I went and talked to the owner. She was there. They were taking tickets and stuff as they were going out. She told me that they were relocating dirt to basically a pond that they were making a levee. And I told her, I said, well, I've seen 26 loads of, approximately that dump trucks coming up and down the road today. Every time you look out, there's one going down the road. They had their ticket book there where they were keeping accountability. And the final thing, if you go to page 3, this is the area that they've grubbed out for their pond levee, and there was only one load of dirt there. And my concern with that was the type of material. If you look, I've got a close-up picture. It's just field dirt that they're dumping with a lot of biomass. It was basically like construction debris that they were putting in. And my concern is, if that's going to be the base of their pond levee and that's what they're doing with it, what's going to happen, in 10 years when that stuff rots and weakens integrity, and we're downstream of that. So mainly was just, the zoning issue with the dump trucks coming in and out. I've got some pictures of the last 3 were what I took of yesterday, and that's just from Stoll Road. And you can see where they're excavating out and clearing out the dirt on the top. So mainly it's just questions about if they're actually, if that's the correct zoning. We didn't see a proposed change like we have previous times and on their different pit. And I'm concerned about the structural integrity of their pond dam, just bringing in, any type of, fill dirt from any other dump trucks that are unloading.
What is this right here with?
That's the picture. After she had told me that they were transferring dirt, that is the one pile. That is the one load that was there in the bottom of the ravine where they had grubbed out. And as you can see, it's just
like site cleanup.
Yes, sir. Exactly. Construction debris and stuff.
Right.
So it looks like they're selling the dirt, and then they're just asking for. I mean, I see the signs that say fill dirt wanted. I believe that's what's going on there, and that just concerns me with, if they're making a pond levee there, it's probably 30 feet below grade at that point, and over the years as that stuff deteriorates and rots, what's going to happen if that starts leaking or God forbid washes out, and we're downstream of that.
How far is this from where you live, Mr. Hutchins?
It is approximately a quarter of a mile. There is one more gentleman that owns property next to me, and then it's the Freedom Farms. This is actually my property right here, sir.
Where your house is?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hudson, how did you take these pictures?
Which one, sir?
This one.
I with my cell phone. We just happened to be out riding around one Thursday afternoon with the family, and had saw that big grubbed out area, and I was like, oh wow, it was interesting, and we went down there, and mainly I wasn't at the time trying to go after these people. I just saw it, took it just for just interesting.
So do people always let you ride on their property?
No, sir. And yeah, you're probably right. I was, I guess, in the wrong there. But there's a lot of off-road four-wheeler activity and stuff that people ride around there all the time.
You're not the only one.
No, sir. I'm not the
Right.
only one.
I don't doubt it.
But I would. I mean, you're right, sir. I mean, in the eyes of law, I probably am.
Well, developers get the opportunity whenever they can develop a site. They get to clear and grub the site how they desire.
Yes, sir.
So, until there's something concrete that they've actually done, as far as I see, you're just trespassing and looking to get somebody in trouble that we don't even know if they're doing anything wrong.
I think they have a permit, don't they?
They're authorized to develop the site because they filed a plat with us. So apparently what they're doing is they're prepping the the lots themselves, Brad, and incorporating a pond as a feature to enhance the value of the lots. That would be my guess. Renee, you think I'm on the right track there?
That's correct. That's
So,
the owner.
there is no activity that, at this point, that requires a permit. Now, if we see a lot of material
I think they
leaving the site,
They do have a permitted pit, don't they, Harrison?
They do on Mount Helm.
Yeah, okay, okay.
so this is developing the site for the purpose of selling lots, right? It's a part of the subdivision development itself. So that doesn't require a permit like we're talking about the Mount Helm site. So I don't know that there's any issue here at all from the standpoint of county zoning or other county regulations. If there is an issue, if any, then that's not gonna be the purview of the county.
Well, I mean, instead of taking up the whole board, we got people waiting. After our meeting or whatever, we get with Renee and see if there is, and we'll address. Well,
That's correct.
And
Yes, sir. Thank you. That was just a separate issue. My main concern was the dump trucks and the dirt selling.
Well, I can tell you just from looking at this looks like pallets that's broken up that loggers would leave behind. So it's very possible that's what that debris is right there, but I don't know. That's just one load though. You know, that'd be different if that was 20 loads right there.
Sure, that was last Thursday when I called you.
Now, there may be a reason why that's staged off to the side like that as well. It may be that they spotted the organic material and said, let's not install that. So,
Well, we don't have anything that regulates pond down building
That's not,
anyway.
Sure, I was just bringing it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
since it's brought to our attention, that's good. I would advise Mr. Hutchins to not trespass on people's property, though. That's just asking for trouble.
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, it's gonna win after the next one, I guess. Sorry about that.
But it does look like a mess.
No, I've turned him over. Morning.
Morning. My name is Roy Nichols. I was under the impression I was meeting with a few to have questions, so I didn't know I had 3 minutes. All I'm here for is to make sure that everything is done like it's always with us. We required a lot of things, and I've been out of town. Since I've gotten back, I've gotten calls from the outpost, from the service station, from other people in the community objecting. I was told you can never be within 1,325 feet.
Mr. Nichols is here talking about fireworks stands.
Oh,
He
I'm
didn't,
sorry.
he just assumes y'all know what he's here talking about.
Okay.
He's here talking about
Figured it out.
fireworks stands.
I'm sorry.
He's specifically here complaining about one of his competitors who's behind the outpost. Okay, now that y'all are
Okay.
plugged in here.
Sounds like I'm being, but it's, we were told from the fire inspector, you can never be that close. And we were told if the outpost is ever sold, it can never be a fireworks stand. It was sold, it's still a stand. But then, according to the zoning thing, when you try to build a building that close, that changes everything. And I understand we have a rule that's 1,325 feet. But it's just not me. I've had probably 15 phone calls, and I'm sure y'all be getting them too. But we had to go through a lot. Y'all know that. Y'all put us through it. But as far as elevation, as far as stuff you have to do ahead of time, seems like a lot of stuff's being done without approval. And so I'm just here to make sure everything is done the way it should be. The same as what we in Varner, our parking lot had to be.
Mr. Roy, let Craig kind of fill you in what.
Well, the first thing that I want to clear up is that a simple sale of property, first of all, this piece of property was a fireworks sales location well before the county adopted zoning, okay? Before the county adopted a fireworks ordinance. That's how far back it goes. It is a non-conforming use, a grandfathered use. A simple sale of the property itself does not, in fact, take away the grandfathered protection takes more than that. That has not occurred. More than that has not occurred. Therefore, it is still grandfathered. It's grandfathered for both the purposes of the fireworks ordinance, which is your 1,320-foot rule. Don't forget that the outpost was built long after the fireworks location had already been in operation. It has continued to be in operation throughout
sir.
the years,
Do
both
you dispute
seasons.
that?
Okay.
No, sir.
All right.
My father-in-law sold the property that the outpost was built on, and it was built before the fireworks stand. He owned all that property. And Mitch Hale bought the fireworks thinking that he was gonna be able to put fireworks there. And he saw that he could only put a 50 by 70 building because of how close it is. And having to park in the outpost parking lot to go to there. And Mitch Hale bought the property from my family, and it was sold. And he ended up working a deal selling it back to Robbie because he knew he could not put a fireworks stand on there because it said if the property's ever sold, it can never be a fireworks stand. That was told to us by the fire inspector, and that was told to us by Mitch Hale. And that's the reason he sold it back.
So the operator is Robbie Covington, and he has been in, as from what I understand, Renee, you correct me if I'm wrong, but he's been in continuous operation. So this transaction put it in the hands of the only individual that was grandfathered. That's what he's talking about. It didn't lose its grandfathered status because the operator continued to operate there. Right, so that's the way the county has treated that. So it's grandfathered for both the fireworks ordinance and the zoning ordinance, both. He approached after Mr. Nichols was allowed to build a nice brick building, sprinkled, and operate a fireworks stand not too far away from this location. The operator of the grandfather location said, "What do y'all think about me using the same approach that Mr. Nichols has used, which is a brick building that is sprinkled, that I will operate twice a year during the time frames I'm allowed to operate by state law? Would y'all prefer that as opposed to a tent to operate out of?" And so we evaluated that, and the footprint of the new building is reasonably close to what the footprint of the tent is. And so we treated that as a aesthetically better for the county to have a permanent structure there. It's a better look, right, for the community, and it's safer because it's an actual permanent structure that has adequate fire protection. Right, so we saw both a safety and an aesthetic benefit to the county to allow that grandfather status to continue to use. There will also be a better parking situation, a permanent asphalted parking lot. So full bricks around, asphalt parking lot, handicap accessible, sprinkler fire protection. It basically checked all the boxes for us, and it's a grandfathered use.
So you're saying the parking lot meets that requirement? Because my parking lot is way bigger than what he has in David.
Yeah.
I had to have 33 cars to park on my space. He's got
I-
less than 30 feet.
We appreciate Mr. Nichols helping us with this before we even get a site plan, but we've got to get a site plan first before we can address how it's going to meet our requirements. We'll address that when we get a site plan.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have no other public comment this time. We'll move on with old business. Have a motion
That's-
to approve minutes.
That concludes the busybody portion of our agenda.
There must be some really good money in fireworks.
Right, I got you, yes. I'd hate for this guy to turn around and sell it as soon as he gets it built.
It won't work. It can't. If he sells it,
I want to ask him
grandfather.
after this.
Ask him after. I
Hey,
already said.
Craig, I would hate for this guy to do all this and open up this just to turn around and sell it.
Well, then he loses the grandfather.
If he sells it, it'll be to a business partner that has the right and the privilege to operate, Jay. That's the limitation. And by the way, that's in the conditions that we set with him.
Now, we have another one over my district up off Old Fen Road. that if they change ownership, they're done. There's not another one coming back.
This is the same way.
If it's in the conditions that way, Jay, then it's a notch above our normal grandfathering rules.
Okay.
We can introduce an additional rule.
All right. I just want to make sure the same thing wasn't going to apply up there,
Yeah.
you know, so.
We're gonna watch that very closely. And by the way, we made that very clear to both the operator and to his attorney, Mr. Deacon. We made it very clear, be very careful about who's operating that.
Yeah.
If we find out it's a third party, we're gonna have an issue.
All right. Okay, moving on. I have a motion to approve minutes.
Motion.
Motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Jared. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Daniel, second by Jared. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Gentlemen, each year at this time, we open a public hearing for a discussion from the public of the proposed fiscal year budget. This is our public hearing for the purpose of the fiscal year 2021 budget as proposed and as published. So we will open that public hearing, and I will ask if there is anyone here to speak on the matter of the proposed fiscal year 2021 budget. Ms. Janice has checked in the lobby. There is no one in the lobby who appears to be anxious to speak about this. I'll ask if there's anyone in the room. I don't see anybody but home folks in the room who I assume are satisfied. Surely there's no one in here who's dissatisfied. We will close that public hearing, and I believe later you will have an opportunity to fully approve.
Moving on, Ms. Gilbert, what do we do here? Do we just skip her, or do you know what she wants? All right. Ms. Sullivan.
Morning. Item A, petition change the assessment on the 2019 personal property assessment roll.
Thank you.
So moved.
Motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Jared. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item B, order approving the 2020 recapitulation for the real and personal property assessment roll.
So moved.
Motion by Jared, second by Steve. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
1,199 more days till I retire.
What y'all just did on item B will now send the roll to the Department of Revenue. They will have an opportunity to actually assess the roll to determine whether or not it is equalized. That's their job. They will send it back probably in October. John, I think that's right. And you guys will receive the equalized roll from the Department of Revenue, and that will be the triggering mechanism for anybody who has objected to their assessment. So you Walmarts and you Sam's of the world, more than likely, they will have 10 days from the date that you receive it officially to actually file their circuit court objection if they're going to file one. I just want to put you guys on notice that we're not done with the objectors. We thought we were, but the Supreme Court, in their illustrious wisdom, has now decided that they get 10 days from the day you get it back from DOR, which is what pushes us all the way into November. Y'all will have forgotten that anybody ever came, and then a lawsuit may show up. So I'm just making sure you guys understand what the process is.
All right. Hey, Caroline, come on up.
Good morning.
Good morning, how are y'all?
Morning.
Okay, so y'all are probably familiar with this. We get some money on every car tag that's supposed to be used for technology, education, the things of that like. I'm just requesting to move some of those funds from general fund line item to our budget line item to purchase printers and some scanners and a couple of new computers for our office. I know the printers and scanners are gonna be right at $23,000, and then a couple, I don't have the final quote for a couple of computers, but we need to do that before the end of the fiscal year.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, have a motion by Daniel,
Second.
second by Jared. Any discussion? So is this just transferring funds within your budget?
Well, it's weird.
No, what it is they get 50 cents
50
per
cents.
car tag that is set out by statute that comes back in, and it has to be spent on electronics, or like she said, education for the tax collector's department. I don't have a particular, it goes into the general county budget, and it's approximately
Probably
$7,000 a month.
7 or 8,000 a
Around
month,
80
yeah.
a year, and it won't even take all of what that,
Correct.
but Judy had requested for, but it is set apart to keep them up, because we do this electronically with the state to keep their computers and everything in working
All right.
order.
Okay.
When you said general fund, I just,
Yeah, it's
alarm
because-
bells went off. so-
Yeah, no. It's because there's
Alright.
no other way to.
Yeah, it is
segregate
located in
Yeah,
general. I can't receipt it directly into her department.
Correct.
All right.
Yep. Sorry about that.
Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Bridget. Welcome back.
We can take both my items together if you like. The item A, I'm requesting authority to advertise term bids for the unit system. The first 6, we had to get reverse auction exemption approved, and they did so on September 2nd. And the last 3 items, that's just our normal term bids that are construction. That don't require the exemption.
All right, have a motion.
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Steve, second by Jared. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bridget. Ms. Terry.
Good morning.
Morning.
Road work accomplished for August and road work scheduled for September.
Motion approved.
Motion by
Second.
Jared, second by Brad. Any discussion? All in favor,
Go ahead.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. I thought you were going to kind of give us a rundown.
I was fixing to give you a rundown on it. So basically what we're doing is we finished up the, Civil Link bond overlay money. We finished that up. We're finishing up a few other little things, trying to close out our budget for this year. Got a little bit of overlay scattered around we're doing. It's not much, just kind of some pre-leveling, Jay. And trying to get ready for next year. Getting roads prepped and ready.
All right.
How much is your overlay budget for next year? You know,
1 million.
$1 million?
I think that's-
Well, I mean, it's 3, but we've got other things that come out of that overlay budget now.
So what do you think?
Any
what do you think it'll be?
any contractual use like micro, overlay, pre-level, any of that comes out of that line item.
So how much do you think you got for overlay next year?
1 million.
1 million.
If we try to stay the path we've been staying,
So it's about 9 miles of road for next
Yes.
year's overlay.
yes,
Shouldn't take you long, should it?
should.
Have we got Palo Verde in there, or is that without Palo Verde?
That's without Palo
Okay.
Verde.
I didn't mean to bring that up, but since we're cattle tailing today, I thought I would just get in line.
The reason I was asking you, I hadn't seen the budget come back yet, so I hadn't seen the final numbers, so I was just seeing if you'd seen them.
That's what we discussed the other day in budget hearing, Daniel.
Alright.
Do we need to take that up now, or you want to take it an additional?
It's up to you.
Hang on, let's get through these other two
Okay.
items you got here.
Request approval for Strong River Construction Utility Permit to construct a water line along and across Burnham South, installed between Highway 43 and Gabe Hawkins Road.
That 43 is not right. That's supposed to be 18 highway, I believe.
That's right.
I'll make a motion. Approve.
All right, motion by Brad,
Second.
second by Jared. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Authorize to remove equipment from the county road department inventory, declare equipment surplus property, and transfer to the city of Florence as an intergovernmental transfer at no cost.
Is it just a truck? Is that all it is?
Yes.
Make a motion approved.
Motion by Jared,
Second.
second by Brad. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right.
Thank you.
You gonna do your other deal? Or no? All right.
I think that's gonna be additional business.
All right.
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
rather take it additional, keep it rolling. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Parker. So I can finish the other
Thank you, Mr. President. The first item we have on the agenda is discussion and potential action on the Andrew Chapel clearing and grubbing. You should have in front of you the bid tab for the bids that were received on that. We had 2 bids. They were Thornton Construction Company, Inc. for $215,290 and Mims, Inc. for $250,640. We would recommend award of that to Thornton Construction Company in the amount of $215,290.
All right, have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Steve.
Second.
Second by Jared. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
I thought you wanted to hold up on it, Steve, while you slow about making a motion.
No, I don't hold up.
Item B, Mr. President, is discussion and potential action on the North Shore Guardrail Bridge improvements. We have open bids on this, and since we've opened bids, we've realized that there's a potential issue between with the grade change between the bike path and the roadway, and this project is to install impact attenuators at the ends of the bridges. Those are much shorter than the guardrail that's there now, so there's going to leave some of the grade change that's exposed right now, and it's our opinion that this needs to be addressed before the project is awarded. So we would recommend rejecting these bids and let us go back and adjust the plans to address that grade change issue.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Daniel, second by Steve to reject all bids and re-advertise. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Mr. Slade.
Mr. President, items A through E under my section are to set public hearings for October 5 at 9 a.m. You see them listed there. I would ask that we take items A through E as one motion, please.
I make a motion.
Motion by Brad,
Second.
second by Jared. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Gentlemen, you authorized the publication of a notice of public hearing scheduled for today on the amendment and restatement of the tax increment financing plan for the Grants Ferry Parkway project. And so this is our opportunity to open that public hearing at this time and ask if there is anyone here to speak on the matter of the amendment and restatement of the tax increment financing plan for Grants Ferry Parkway project.
No,
Anyone
sir.
here to speak on that matter? Mr. President, obviously, we don't see anyone here to speak on that matter. I'm given to understand there's no one out in the hall who may be waiting on this public hearing. We will close that public hearing. You'll be afforded an opportunity in item G to actually act on it. Item G is the adoption of a resolution approving the adoption and implementation of the tax increment financing plan for the Grants Ferry project, City of Brandon, June 8, as amended and restated March 16th, and as amended and restated June 2020. Need a motion to adopt that resolution.
All right, have a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Jared. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
There is no change whatsoever with respect to the county's obligation under the TIP plan at all. Item H is the authorization of the board president to execute a memorandum of understanding between Rankin County, the Rankin County Youth Court, and the Mississippi Administrative Office of Courts for a partial contribution of personnel costs, legal representation in the parents and youth court proceedings. This MOU is a continuation of arrangements been in place for several years. MOU provides that Rankin County pays $30,000 of the $70,000 per year salary commitment for the cost of the parent attorney. The funding commitment is contingent upon the availability of grant funding received by the youth court. If grant funding ceases, the MOU ceases.
All right, have a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Jared,
Second.
second by Steve. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, ayes have it.
Item I is virtually identical. It's an MOU that funds the Rankin County Youth Court and UMMC Psychotherapy Services Infant, Children, and Parents 0 to 3 grant program. Again, same thing, we're funding partially the cost to administer that program. The program is funded through grant funding. If the grant funding ceases, the MOU ceases.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Steve, second by
Second.
Jared. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Ms. Oster.
First item I have, approval to adopt the FY21 budget in the amount of $181,002,900.
Have a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion by Jared,
Second.
second by Brad. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to see it. Have we not seen it?
It is as it was that Friday.
So do we have
and
a copy of it? I thought you made changes again after that
Only
weekend.
only changes made to it was what I emailed you. Some road was not touched, bridge was not touched, sheriff's was not
So-
touched. The only
So
thing
y'all
was,
seen it, right? You seen the 181?
It was like 80,000.
that's right, it was 80,000 in capital
I did
outlay.
see that, what you're talking about.
Right, it was approximately 80,000 in capital outlay across the general county. Of the ones that could be touched, like youth court couldn't, they're tied up in grants.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right.
The second item I have is authority to publish the FY21 combined budget for publication.
No motion?
So moved.
Motion by Jared,
Second.
second by Steve. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hey,
Next
yes,
item.
I have it.
Next item is authority to adopt our FY21 tax levy. The county's portion is 40.24 mils, which is a zero increase, and the schools is 55.78, which they had a slight reduction of 2.77, and authority to publish.
Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Jared. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now,
Ayes have it.
hey,
Put me
Jay,
down for nay,
Oh,
Jay.
sorry.
You were gonna ask for nays, I'm sure behind that.
Yeah.
Which one?
C, the one we just voted on.
See?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Jay or Laura, under B, aren't we required to publish that
Yes,
by state law?
yes,
Okay.
to require to publish our budget.
I
It's
thought-
the one-page synopsis that's located in this thing here. It's this first page that is,
Oh,
that
so
goes
you
in the
asking why
paper,
we voting on
and
it?
the tax levy.
What, how we, okay.
The state loves to tell us that we have to do it, but they don't give us the money to actually do it. So your authority is to incur the cost of actually doing what the state requires you to
Okay.
do.
All right.
It'd be nice if the state was mandated and paid, then it wouldn't be an
It's too late
unfunded
now.
mandate,
Yeah.
but they don't do it that way.
D is authority to issue a refund check to Constable Brad Patridge in the amount of $4,233.67 for an overpayment of the employee PERS contribution for 2019.
All right. Got a motion?
Yeah, so moved.
Motion by Daniel.
Second.
Second by Steve. All in favor say aye. Ayes have it.
The next item is authority to publish notification requirements of the code sections that you see there during a reappraisal year in order to receive our homestead reimbursement funds.
Motion.
Motion by Steve.
Second.
Second by Brad. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
F is the new Rankin County Courthouse Facilities. It is approval of pay application number 38 to Chris Albritton Construction in the amount of $476,676.96 and authority to issue that check.
So we only had $1 million outstanding, right? And this is taking
No.
up half of it?
No, sir. After this is paid, there is still $1,344,470 left to pay.
But some of that million is not being spent though, right? Wasn't that
How much is that contingency?
the contingency, I thought?
This includes the money
never
that we
asked
have
that right
gotten
here.
back, the change orders that have been to our good.
Right, but I guess the million we have left over, were we planning on spending that million with it? I mean, is that part of the budget?
It is, yes,
That was in
it-
the budget too? So we would still
No.
owe them.
We will spend over our bond money.
Yeah.
There will be approximately $1 million that will have to come out of general county cash to finish it out.
Did they go back, like we asked last week, and speak to, did Carl go back and check with the contractors to get the work done in that office? All the problems that was going on? We had any kind of
I
feedback?
know the conversations took place, Daniel. I don't know.
I don't have the feedback
actual
yet.
To me, I'd rather wait. My personal opinion is to wait on paying this money until we get a feedback on Carl on where the discussion went from last week, because I was of the understanding he was going out when we meet for Thursday? He was going out on Friday to meet with those guys, or Thursday afternoon, or at some point. I'd at least like to hear how that conversation went, because there's so much stuff that's not done in that building. I'd rather,
Yes.
I don't want to get behind on that, because if we pay this, then we're another 2 or 3 months on figuring that part out for the next paycheck to come in.
I got a phone message from one of the building occupants that makes me believe that there was still a lot of work.
I went by
That's
there last
fine, yeah.
Wednesday, and there was a ton of work to be done, and they couldn't get in touch with the contractors,
Yeah.
which is why we asked Carl to come in on Thursday, and he was going to follow back up with the contractors on that. So
I did see those communications. They were in writing. I saw some back and forth. My suggestion would be to pass this to the 15th docket. You got the opportunity to deal with
Yeah,
this.
I
on
wanna
the
ask one
15th
question. It
docket.
says down here at the bottom, there's 1.3 million still remaining, which includes 946,000 retainage. So does that mean 946 is part of the 1.3?
Yes.
Yeah, the retainage would be your percentage that's held until y'all are satisfied
So I know
that all
part
the
of
punch
the
list
retainage,
has
there
been
was over
done.
500,000 coming back. So they're not gonna be left owing
about
500,000, yeah.
$400,000.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't want to approve this right now. I think
Yeah,
it's
and
I mean, they got,
keep in mind that
they
this
got
is work
concrete
through
work to
July
do on North
31.
Street.
So
Yeah, that's a bunch of work to
I don't
do.
know. Yeah, this is work through July 31. This number is tied to July 31. So the work that has happened, if
That's what
any,
I'm saying. That $1
since
million
July
didn't
31.
really act.
He's strung up, yeah.
Honestly, we should have never moved in. It's kind of like once you start driving a vehicle, you don't get all the things you needed to fix. You know, fixing a old truck.
Yes.
All right, so we have a motion to table this item.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Daniel, second by Jared. All in favor say aye.
Uh-huh.
Ayes have it.
Because it's saying 98% completion.
Well, that's what they did to get moved in. You know, that's what
They said it was 98 to get moved in.
that was it. That's the deal, isn't it? I mean,
Not that precise. The determination was substantial completion.
okay.
And your architect makes the call on substantial completion.
Yeah, well, they planted a bunch of dead trees last week, so. All right, next.
Last item I have is authority to enter into an MOU between the Department of Finance and Administration in Rankin County to secure funds in the amount of $250,000 per Senate Bill 2969 to expend to assist Rankin County for the expansion of the Sheriff's Department facility and shop.
Got a motion?
Yep, so moved.
Motion
Second.
by Daniel, second by Brad. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Ayes have it. All right. Mr. Word.
Mr. Word.
Good morning. I just need authority there on just one item on item A to sign as a designated agent for the Emergency Management Performance Grant from MEMA. It went up about $4,000 from last year to this year, just to sign the execute the documents to be sure that we get that money.
Motion.
Motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Daniel. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Ayes have it.
I don't need to speak on this. I'm just going to drop this off to you. Melissa Bryant's got some fairly easy to read
More votes.
chart right there. This is just on August. The numbers just come out just a few minutes ago on the news. It's 249 with no new deaths reported in the state of Mississippi. And the second page over on that will show you by district, and that is as of today. Those numbers are as of today current numbers. That's the stuff that you will not see in the news. But those are currents. And that's all I have.
Brian, what we not doing down in District 1?
Y'all partying Labor Day.
Telling you.
So we got additional business.
Yes.
Is it executive or?
I do have one executive matter submitted for the main case, which makes it property acquisition and litigation.
All right. What's the additional business? Mr. Harrison, you wait back here?
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Come on, man.
So, Daniel and Craig's aware of the issue, and some of y'all are. I think y'all been sent pictures and stuff. I just need some direction of what to do. That road essentially tore up.
How much of it is, cause the picture I saw was only one spot. How far down is it tore up?
That
Probably
road's
3 or 4
probably a
spots.
half mile long,
Yeah.
and then half the other way. It runs in and does a TJ, and half this way and about a half this way.
We ran out of battery power on the phone. Battery died.
But anyway, I've had the road shut down for construction. We've been working on it, trying to get it back where we got it saved up where people get home Friday over the
Is
weekend.
it some bad soil under there? I mean, what?
There's some bad dirt, you know, I mean, it's hard for me to tell, Steve, until I just get a
If they
geotech.
weren't overloaded and they weren't speeding or all that, should the road have held up? Or is there something that you
No
can?
more houses been built back there. I mean,
Well, there's probably 20 houses in
How
there.
old's the road?
Jared, I don't know, this thing come to birth, best I can tell, anywhere from '01 to right now ain't that what we've kinda found, Craig?
So the development started at some point prior to '07. I'm giving you rough dates because I don't, that's before any of our time. But at some point between, say, 2000 and 2007, there was some development activity that went on. My understanding is that in the downturn, '07, '08, the original developer went under, and it sat dormant for some period of time. It was purchased roughly 2014 by a developer, Joe Edwards, the balance of the property. And so he has been selling off property and in the nature of developing it since that point in time. He recently had sold a number of lots to one particular builder, Mr. Garantano, I think is his name.
Who?
Robert Garantano.
Thought I knew.
It's the first time I've run across him. But at any rate, my understanding is that the activity that has led to the damage is part and parcel of Mr. Garantano's activity of building houses, and there may be some others who are building that I don't know who they are. The reason I point that out is that Mr. Garantano had sent a message this morning to one of Mike's ladies indicating that he felt like he was being made the scapegoat when there were others who were also participating in the damage. Interestingly, there's no question that they recognize the road has been slammed, torn up, but they want some other people to be responsible for it as well.
My problem with that problem is anybody knows common sense, once it's starting to tear up,
Yes.
and just keep on going, That's where I don't have any tolerance.
Yes.
I mean,
When you
that
see it break, it stops.
yeah, I mean, it's starting to come to pieces,
Yes.
you know.
Contact somebody.
At least, you know, and some in the past have said, hey, I'm tearing your road up.
Yes.
They didn't say nothing. Just, that's where my big zero tolerance is right there.
So anyway, I'm
What
trying
point
to,
do you have, how many houses were actually built or being built?
There's probably 3 under construction in there right now.
there's 3 under
There's probably
construction right now, Jay.
25 to 40 back there.
That are new, just been built?
Well, I mean, built in the last 10 to 12 years.
I'm talking about since the road tore up, cause at
I
some
mean,
point, we gotta have some responsibility in
I'm just
this.
saying, the road just tore up this week.
Right.
It was drivable, there was no potholes, none of that stuff. Mike had been patching it for the last year or so,
Yeah.
when things come up or whatever.
Just like any other road. Yeah.
Sure. So, I mean, this all happened in about a half a day period.
Well, they had a lot of negligence that they just kept going after it was,
Yeah.
falling apart. I get that, I just don't know how.
And here's my thing. We don't have to put it back on the builder or the contractor or any of that person. We'll have to pay for it. So I was gonna let Mike tell you how much it's gonna cost. We're at $250,000 right now. So I'm sure we'll just take it out of general county and pay it, right? Isn't that what we do?
Or just patch it.
You can't patch this, I don't think. It doesn't look like it.
This one's beyond a little patching here. This
It
was
don't
gonna
look
be,
like asphalt road.
Because
I'm
it
only
kept,
on 10,
they
but
kept going and going and
Yeah,
going. It's to a point now
that's what
where
I
you
say.
can't.
That's where I got a problem, is because they knew it. Stop and let somebody know, hey
The
man, I'm
picture I
tearing
sent
your
to
road
y'all
up.
was just, it's in multiple spots like that.
Mhm.
So it's not like they just ran over and created a hole and stopped.
alignment there.
It's just over, over, over.
And
And then they
kept
start going
scooting
around
over,
it, then they
scooting
go
over,
around
doing
it.
it just right.
And then you widen it out.
6 inches of crushed stone or a foot.
So anyway, me and Tim's come up with a
Special
plan.
assessment.
There's a couple ways you can do it. We gotta dig out 3 foot of road and go back with 3 foot of good dirt. 6 inches of limestone, 6 inches of asphalt, that's somewhere around 200,000.
Okay, what's the, how are we gonna get some responsibility out of it?
So right now, the status is that there's no construction traffic. So I suspect that the reason that Mr. Garantano is asking repeatedly for a meeting is that they're anxious to get back to construction. So it's in a position where we can have some conversations. We just really need some direction from the board as to what those conversations need to be. Okay?
I mean, I don't see dropping $200,000 in there and they still building houses back there and gonna tear the new road up.
I mean, to me, I would do what I could in with some limestone 610 until we get past and
Something
into
resolved.
next spring and let that set up.
I mean, right now, like you said, they're gonna keep hauling, and then we're gonna just,
Tear it up again.
Yeah.
I mean, you put some 610, you know how to do it. to where
right,
it'll be-
I'm just
it'll-
saying, but to
it'll
go
be set
dig it
up.
all out and fix the thing and put asphalt down? I mean, I hate it, but I mean, unless they can,
Yeah.
what are they gonna wanna do?
Well, one option that we can have, there needs to be a recognition that whoever is building out there is in fact going to have to go over these damaged areas. And we need some buy-in that they're gonna use better practices than they have been using. Maybe the dump trucks that are going in and out of there are half-loaded instead of fully loaded. Maybe the speed is 10 miles an hour instead of
I don't think
25.
speed's tearing it up, it's just a weight.
I just need some direction, because like I said, I've had the sheriff's department have a deputy out there in the morning, because these people insist on going in there, even though we've closed the road.
With the dump trucks?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And the builder. I mean, they insisted on, we pulled the
The
permits,
problem is.
we've done everything that we can do.
When we
you
have
know.
these platted subdivisions, if we put these trucks in here and they start tearing stuff up, there's no, we just let it go. I mean, we just let it go to a point where we gotta pay for it to fix it. And it's not fair to the taxpayer that puts the road down there to do it, so.
well, then, you know, if you got one truck on the East Street and one big old bad spot, that's different what's happened here. If they just destroyed it, and didn't even, who called? Was it a
The
homeowner?
homeowner that was stuck in the middle of it,
Okay.
when a car bottomed out in it,
Yeah.
and she wedged her BMW on top of it, and we had to pull her out of it.
Right.
And then the next one that called was the one that was sideways in the
Yeah,
ditch.
that looked
tore
like
her
a little
car.
neglect, driving neglect there to go off the road. But still, either way, none of the contractor, any of the builders, anybody had anything to say about it, and it just kept on as long as they could have pulled them through there.
That's exactly right.
Mhm.
It was almost to the point where I don't think the dump trucks could have got through it. I mean, it was that deep and soft, and
Get to the point
So,
they wouldn't have got through.
that's what I'm saying. They would bog themselves down. So,
We had 15 locations identified, Jared. Jay, whoever asked that question.
how much money have you put in it, just patching it, just with dirt and stuff?
I haven't
like
run
that?
those costs yet, but I've got 2 days invested in it with 2 crews out there right now.
Well, the homeowners, unfortunately, probably would understand the fact that if we go put it back like it was new, and it doesn't hold up, we're gonna just do it over again. They got to understand, I would think that, and I'm sure it's an inconvenience. But we've done this in many other locations and subdivisions, and we say we're not gonna fix it. Well, what's that one down off early? You know, we couldn't, they fussed and fussed and fussed, but we couldn't do anything that got through in there.
Yes. So it's the state law that we're operating under provides that where there's extraordinary damage, we can take whatever measures are necessary to protect the road. And so what we came up with, and what has been obviously effective, is to simply close the road to construction traffic until further notice. And the idea behind that being was to trigger an opportunity to get people at the table that are the stakeholders here, which would be the builders and Mr. Edwards and anybody else that might have some responsibility for the development activity that is causing the damage to the road, to the public road. Okay, so we've got now an opportunity to get an audience with those folks, some of them, and it may be multiple meetings that are required in order to get everybody that needs to be a part of the solution to the table ultimately. But we've got Mr. Garantano, who has 8 lots out there, some of which are being constructed now, others I'm assuming he intends to construct on later. He's wanting a meeting. My suspicion will be that the dirt hauler, the one who's actually responsible for the trucks that are causing the damage, may have a reason to get in front of us and talk about solutions. So we just need some direction from y'all. If there's something that you can think of you want discussed, if there's some solution that you want to be a part of, we need to know what that is so we can present it.
Well, I mean, they don't need to drag their feet, and if there's 20 lots in there and take 5 years to develop 20 lots, I mean, if they're gonna do something, they need to get in there and get it done and get out.
Well, there is a way to address that, and it's through the use of a letter of credit that would provide the ability of the county to use the responsible parties' funds to fix the road.
How much is left that's unsold, left to be developed?
I mean, I don't know how big those lots are, so there's gonna
Yeah,
be,
yeah, I
they're
don't
probably
know
2
either,
acre
but
lots or 3,
they could
or
be-
maybe not 3, maybe 1 to 2 acre
They
lots.
could be probably potentially another 4 houses go in, 4
4 or
to
5
6.
houses, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, keep in
We'll
mind
get down to the end.
that part of, one of the areas of this development that was originally platted just showed future development, so it's a large block of property that does not have an overlay plat of it. My understanding is
Countryside
that Mr.
subdivision.
Edwards has sold that large block to
Brad,
his daughter,
it's the back of it.
Yeah.
and that
Called
she
Palo Verde
is
the name of the street.
building a house on it, from what I
Palo Verde
understand,
Street,
but we
back
don't
of the
know
subdivision.
what the additional development plans may be for the 40-acre piece.
Well, I
We don't
think
know.
whoever bought that land and sold it needs to have some investment in fixing the road, for sure.
If you go past the
You know,
North Shore
I don't think
Elementary, toward like the-
You know, I think the truck drivers going back and forth, knowing it was falling apart, still tearing it up, has some negligence there, so their liability insurance ought to kick in. But the home builder, I don't know how much you gonna get out of him, you know, personally.
Well,
I
Mr.
mean,
Garantano actually, as part of the permit process, provided a certificate of liability coverage.
So
And
I try to get all 3 of them in.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
he bought,
think
the
it's-
builder bought the
But I
lots.
definitely put the developer at the top.
The
Yes.
home, you talking about the homeowner? Home
The
builder.
guy who went in and bought all the rest of those lots and sold them.
Okay, but then the home builder,
Yeah.
you don't think he should be, has
I just
responsibility?
said, I think
Okay.
all 3 of them need to
Okay.
be.
I didn't know which 3 you were talking about. I thought you were talking about the home, someone that are homeowners that are building a house. I got
My understanding from Mr. Garantano, is that correct? Did I say his name right, Jay?
Only one of the lots being
I-
built right now's got a.
I got to get it dug up, and supposedly when he
A
sold
permit to
those
build?
lots, no, when Mr. Edwards sold those lots to Mr. Garantano, he told him he was responsible for the roads. That's what he told me.
Of course he is.
And, well, I mean, and my understanding from other builders that did in there was the same thing. Now, he says he's got it wrote up in a covenants. I have not got that dug up. We just got that this morning, first thing. So I'm still just kinda,
Yeah, keep in mind that
That's
we don't,
important.
the county doesn't enforce covenants. The county's
Right.
not in the middle of covenants. We're not obligated to follow covenants. We can ask Mr. Edwards to address this issue. We can ask the home builders to address this issue. We can ask the dirt hauler to address this issue, and we're not burdened by any agreement that they may have among themselves. They can sort that out amongst themselves. For the county's purposes, it doesn't really matter. We're satisfied as long as our road is protected and brought back up to speed on somebody else's nickel.
Right. So, and just to add a refresher for me, Mr. Renee, the pads being built, they don't need permits for those pads, right? They can come in and do all the dirt work, all that kind of stuff with no permits, right?
Dirt
Yeah,
pad,
so-
the dirt, yeah.
Yeah, which is all the dirt, building
Right.
them all up. One of them does have a permit. That's the one I believe they've cut through. I guess they're
Okay.
trying to maybe lay
Okay.
plumbing or something like that.
Trying to do the
I thought you
foundation.
meant they were
Okay.
building with the erosion.
One of them is.
Yeah, I got
The
you.
other one are dirt work, but
Right.
then to do those, you're still clearing off trees and bringing all the trucks in, and it's a bunch of dirt work, obviously. So they do that just kind of by.
Yeah, they have to dig out the pads, Jared.
And that's where they're hauling all the dirt out.
Yeah.
carrying
Well, first
hauling
it
dirt
was the
out, hauling
timber
dirt
you had to
in.
get out of there, right? So.
Yeah, that's probably what tore up the road, really and truly.
Well, you know, I just got an email where somebody asked me the cost, we're roughly right now around 26,000.
That what we got in it now?
That's just the weekend to get it where you
Right,
could drive
right,
over it. Yeah.
This is, I think I alluded to this as being a 2.0 situation. So we've had this happen before in Castle Woods. Y'all recall, that particular builder was adamant that any damage to the public roads in Castle Woods was the county's responsibility. Didn't matter. And so we've been tested on that before. That is simply not an accurate statement of the law. The county, you guys have the ability to protect your public roads, and the streets of Countryside and the first phase of Palo Verde are public roads that are subject to your jurisdiction. So if they get damaged, regardless of who's doing it or why they're doing it, if it's extraordinary damage, which this is, you have the ability to protect that road. So we just need to come up with a plan that's acceptable to you guys, and regardless of whether it's acceptable or not to the ones causing damage, acceptable to you guys in exchange for returning to construction traffic and development activity out there.
Yeah, one of the things I'd like to ask to do is we meet, what's the next week, the 15th, something like that? If you guys meet with them by then and bring us back a suggestion on whether they handle it like the Scott May issue was in Castle Woods, where he said, we met with him, remember the same thing? He said,
Yes.
look, we just want you to tell us when it starts breaking apart so we can come in there.
Yes.
He just said, F you, we're not
Yes.
doing it. He said, you know, I pay taxes, or you pay taxes on the roads, the county road, you fix it. If we get that conversation, or we get the conversation back from these folks that they're willing to take some responsibility in the destruction of it, come back and tell. That'd be my suggestion. Meet with the parties involved between now and the 15th, which is next week, and figure out where we need to go and bring a suggestion back to the board at that point.
We'll report to them that the time horizon for releasing activity to go on is the 15th at the soonest.
Well, at
That'll
least,
be dependent upon what you guys decide on the 15th. So that'll be our report.
You don't like that, Bishop?
I just feel like the guy's fixing to be hurt.
Well,
How many's he got going right now?
Well, he's only got one actual lot that he's got a permit on. Two of them he's building
He probably
pads.
bought them from the bank anyway. They probably got them pretty
Oh, so
cheap.
they're not framed yet?
No, it's just a pad.
it's
Oh,
dirt
it's
dirt
pads. He
pad.
had him, yeah, it's dirt. He's
You ain't got no
dirt.
money tied if you.
The
We only
dirt
got actually
hauler,
one building permit.
Okay.
the
At
dirt
least-
hauler
at
is the
least,
one who's gonna be hurt.
Scott called and said he was tearing it up.
Not really. He's gonna get paid for what he's
He
done.
at least called, did it? He didn't make
Don't
say he
think?
wasn't gonna fix it, but he did.
Not according to what I was
We
told.
never heard a word from this guy, did you? Well, at least Scott's
All
not
right.
tearing the hell out
Yeah,
of
the
his road.
15th sounds
He
good.
said it's on your dime.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
That's where we at. I just wanted to keep y'all up to date.
No matter what, you just run the
insurance and
patches
bonds.
so they get done, so, you know.
Right, but once
And
they,
then
at a certain
BSG
point, we're gonna have to do something, because the problem is now that they done broke so much through on it.
Ain't no
Jay,
base there.
I mean, there's nothing there. I mean, every time we dig out a spot, it just keeps growing and growing and
Hopefully
growing.
their insurance company and pony up.
I mean,
what I'm afraid too is if this is bad here, it's gonna keep moving down.
Yeah.
it's doing that
Yeah,
already. Jerry.
okay, that's what I'm saying,
I
yeah.
mean, just,
This asphalt's not gonna hold up because this is already, it's undermining all
I
in.
mean, once they got the road to pumping, I mean.
And that's
it
kind
just-
of my thought here. Just go back and meet with them, Slay,
Yes,
next
sir.
week. By next week. What
Yes.
day is the 15th on?
I think that's Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So a week. You got a week to, you're only gonna miss 3 days of working the rest of this week.
Well, I mean,
Right.
they don't have any real money out now anyway.
Yeah, that's
so.
what I'm saying.
But we
Price
do.
of the lot.
But we do.
Yeah.
But I'll have you a better estimate cost by then
Tuesday.
too,
Yeah.
you know.
By next Tuesday? It's not asking a lot.
What we don't know is how much more of this building activity can we expect?
That's what I
So the
want.
benefit of the meeting will be, we need to figure out how much more activity. Because that's gonna dictate to you guys as to what our plan to deal with the road is. If there's 50 more houses that are planned to be constructed, then we need to be talking about a construction
Construction
entrance
entrance.
somewhere, as opposed to how are we gonna protect the roads that they gotta cross? They need to figure out another way to get in there.
I agree.
So the benefit of the meeting is to find out, if we've only got 5 more houses to go, totally different conversation.
Put
If
letter-
they're gonna build them
The
within
letter
the
of
next.
credit, the letter of credit is,
That's a possibility, Jared. That needs to be on the table for discussion. I don't know how valid it is, how workable it is. You know, Mr. May was offered that opportunity. He brought a check in here. He didn't want to fool with a letter of credit. He just brought a cash bond.
Whatever.
better than,
All right, Mike, thank you.
well, you
Yes,
wanna
sir.
use it.
Any other additional
Yes,
business?
yes. Last week, one of the Chantry judges put a new definition, or maybe he put his understanding of what the definition of a mobile home is, changes everything. Whether it's our deed restrictions that we have when people come in, one person, or whether it's a subdivision and we have in there no mobile homes or something like that, or if it's a covenants that some developer puts together. I would like for y'all, your legal minds, to figure out how are we gonna handle this for whatever's happened in the past, and then how we're gonna handle it in the future, because it's, has the potential to screw up a
Huge,
lot of
huge,
neighborhoods. Can you
Yes, sir.
guide, I mean, look into it and later
Yes, sir.
on?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We can look into it. The solution,
I mean, to me, the intent of putting it in there, mobile home, no mobile homes, the intent was that you don't bring something in here that hauls in here on whether it's a wagon, a trailer, or axles, to be able to say, oh, it's a manufactured home. But it wasn't manufactured here.
yes, sir.
As a matter of fact, factored and rolled in here.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it on axles in two different parts.
Yes, sir.
Move houses.
So we'll do what we can, Steve. A couple of things that come to mind that make that a little bit difficult.
Some of them's nice houses.
Restrictive covenants obviously are private agreements among property owners, and so the board, we don't enforce them. So to your point, it becomes a problem for us. Why? Because the constituency won't appreciate or understand that their government can't do anything to protect them better than that, right?
Well, when we're sitting in here in a pre-construction conference, and it's us that suggest, a lot of times, where are you at as far as mobile homes? And that's usually the way we term it.
Yes, sir.
And they say, oh, we're gonna restrict it, it's not, no more. Whether or not we enforce it down the road, those people that are
That's
sitting
exactly
there,
right.
they think about us.
Yes.
Whenever that mobile home goes in behind somebody else's house.
That's
Or
correct.
two of them, or whatever, and anyhow.
What is he identifying a mobile home, a travel trailer? You can always block it up, pull the axles out from under it too.
I don't know.
So I mean, what is a mobile home then?
I think on the titles back before a certain date in the 2000s, maybe the title mobile home, and then the titles started changing to different things like manufactured home.
There you go. The industry,
Yeah,
the
recognize
the
mobile home-
manufactured housing
Mobile homes don't
industry.
sound like something you want.
That's right.
Well, don't you remember that day Jennifer Hall
Yeah,
got over me
that's
because I
correct.
called it a trailer?
Yeah,
that's
And
correct.
She said it's a manufacturer. Oh.
Yes. So you put your finger on it, and Steve, to your point, when we have those conversations, I think now it behooves us to say, please be sure that you adequately define what it is that you are prohibiting in your covenants. Because we can share with them anecdotally.
Yeah.
If you just say mobile home, you're gonna get very surprised as to what can come in there because you didn't say clearly what cannot. So they'll need to say mobile homes, manufactured homes,
Camper trailers.
Hey, what was,
modular
hey,
homes.
Gotta be
James,
built on site.
what was the,
Yeah,
what was
you-
the case? What was
Exactly.
what was happening? What case was it? The last week.
Out in the rural area,
Yeah.
a guy had about 45 acres 15 years ago, split it in three, I think it was three different lots, 15 acres apiece, and put some covenants of what square footage and different things like that, and no mobile homes. That pretty much stayed the same for about 15 years. I think one of them cut out, they allowed them to, maybe they had 20 acres and they made it 10 acre, but anyhow, it pretty much stayed the same. They were deed restricted, and then about 3 years ago, one of the tracts sold to some people. After about a year, that buyer says, I want to let my son put a trailer, I got 15 acres or thereabouts, on behind me here on this 5 acre. Well, and now this is cleared, this was soybean field, so you can stand at the road and see every bit of it, you know. Whenever his neighbor saw that they were putting in maybe a water line, or I can't remember, anyhow, he called and said, hey, it looks like they're fixing to build something behind his house. Monitored a little bit, and well, I went out and talked to the guy, and he said, yeah, well, I'll give my son 5 acres of land, we're putting a trailer back here. And I said, well, sir, you can't do it. I said, it's deed restricted. It's just not on my deed. And he's right. His attorney, when they closed it, omitted, screwed up, left that line off. So the man has it, don't see where there's a problem. When it's brought to him, he says, not on my deed, I don't care. The attorney, because of some liability problems, says, I'll represent you the best I can, you know. Well, he finds where what they brought was newer and the title was manufactured home. So they, for the last about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, been waiting in the mill at Chantry to get this taken care of. And just last week, the judge decided that it's not a mobile home and it can stay.
Did he say what it was?
I don't know, I was sitting right here, I was over there and I had to come over here. The problem is the neighbor, their lots are about 500 foot wide and a quarter mile deep. And they all have really nice homes. I mean, these are $400,000+ homes. He's built an outdoor kitchen on the back side of his house. I think they even have a swimming pool. Straight across from him is a double wide manufactured home that is, I mean, not just in sight view. I mean, his first words were, Steve, I just lost $150,000. He probably did.
Value.
Yep.
All based on the definition of mobile home or.
The judge ruling it, that wouldn't
thought we were
allow it in
gonna-
his area.
We
That's
thought
the
it'd be,
problem with that.
well, the terms change over 20 years or
Yeah.
so. The intent would remain,
Right.
is what we thought, but it didn't.
Bad.
All right, well, you have an executive session?
I've got a real property litigation matter, eminent domain matter that I need to address with.
All right. Do I have a motion to go into executive, or discuss the need to go into executive session?
So moved.
Motion by Jared, second by Steve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you.
Good to see you, Mr. Sullivan.
As always.
199 days.
No,
1100.
1100.
We're still on to y'all.
All right, I have a motion to go into executive session for, what was it?
It's litigation.
Litigation.
Property act.
All right. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Steve,
Right.
second by Brad. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. We in executive session.
Yeah.
Just a second.